After watching that first half, I was going to be overly critical on this Arsenal team, but then I realized something. Leeds have not lost a game. Leeds have. After watching that first half, I was going to make this video and be super critical on Arsenal, right? Because that first half was a snooze fest. It was so boring to watch. But then I thought about it. Leeds have lost one game in their last 11 games. Leeds have drawn against United. They've drawn against Liverpool twice. They've beaten Chelsea. They've nearly lost 3-2 to Man City. Nearly lost 2-1 to Spurs. And Arsenal have beaten Leeds 5-0 and 4-0 today. Arsenal are the only team in the top, the big six, that have such a performance record against Leeds this season. They've actually performed at a high level. Leeds at home are a difficult team to beat. Leeds in general are a difficult team to beat. So for Arsenal to do this to Leeds twice in one season, we kind of have to stop being overly critical on this Arsenal team. Yes, the first half, there were booming corners in that first half. Eventually got the goal off the Madueke cross. Finally, a GA in the year. And then they get the own goal at the end of the half, right? But they have to look at it. No other big team in the Premier League is doing what Arsenal did to Leeds. No other team is performing like that against Leeds this season. So you have to actually look at the season in totality, not just look at it game by game. Look at it as a wide range of games. Arsenal have dominated Leeds. And for the most part, Arsenal have dominated most teams. The chances might not have been there. They might not have been the most clear-cut and, pretty football. But at the end of the day, if your team was playing the same way and you were beating these teams and you were top of the league, no matter how narrow the lead might be, no matter how it might look, I'm sure every Spurs fan would love to be top of the league. I'm sure every Liverpool fan would love to be top of the league. United, Chelsea, they would all love to be in the title race, but none of us are in the title race. Right? So I guarantee you would swap your team's style of play for that style of play if it got you to the top of the table. We all would. Let's cut the crap. The only reason we're so overly critical on it is because A, it's Arsenal, and B, it's not our team playing that brand of football. But at the end of the day, Arsenal dominated Leeds today. Leeds generally are able to get their style of play going a little bit against these teams. They did not get anything going today against Arsenal. I think it was one shot on target. They did not get anything going today they did not do anything against Arsenal today. It seemed like an attack versus defense kind of game. And, it might have been a little bit iffy for Arsenal because at the beginning of the game, Saka goes down with that injury. I think he's holding his groin. Who knows how long he'll be out. Madueke comes in, actually has a decent performance, obviously gets his assist. But Arsenal are performing. At the end of the day, they're just performing. They're winning games. 8 out of 8 in the Champions League, top of the league in the Premier League, and then you see that Man City have a difficult game tomorrow. Maybe that gap can be extended again. So the second half was a lot better, right? I think the second goal kind of demoralized Leeds. They realized they weren't going to win the game. They weren't going to get back into the game. They made some substitutions, and it kind of just opened up the game a little bit more. And then you see Gyökeres gets his goal. Jesus gets his goal. That's kind of the whole talk. I mean, at halftime, the Sky Sports graphic literally said, own goals are Arsenal's top leading scorer. Right? Obviously, Gyökeres, gets his sixth goal of the season. He gets to the top of that list, but that's bad. That's bad. I know I said all I said about, you be top of the league and who cares about the style of play and all that, but own goals being your leading scorer is just bad. Arsenal fans, I think they can be objective enough to understand that there's no way in any universe that own goals should ever be at the top of your list of goal scorers. It just shouldn't, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't benefit from own goals, but the fact that your leading scorer in the league has 5 goals, that's a damning indication on Arteta's management. I think it's Arteta's management because this isn't the first season that a top team is facing a low block. This isn't the first season that teams bring their best to play against you. And it's not even like Arsenal are the champions, the reigning champions. Other teams are getting other teams' best as well. It's just the style of play that Arteta has employed. And honestly, the players at his disposal, they're just not at that level. They're just not elite enough, right? They're not the likes of the past, forwards of Premier League winning teams. They're not at that level. Let's just call it what it is. Gyökeres, no. Jesus, No. Right? Trossard, Martinelli, no. Madueke, no. Saka, you might argue, yes, he's the one guy that can, but the one guy out of 6 is not enough. So, is this enough to crawl Arsenal over the line? It's getting to that point in the season where who cares about how you play? Just win the games. If it's enough to get you across that line, then it's perfectly fine. No Arsenal fan would complain about winning the league in this manner, and nor should they. You should be happy to win the league no matter the matter. It doesn't matter if every single game of the season you score an own goal. Every single game of the season, the other team gets a red card. It doesn't matter what happens, win the games. As long as you win the games, that's all that matters. No one's gonna look back and say, oh, even the Invincibles, all those draws that they had, who cares? You're still the Invincibles. Nobody cares about how you do it as long as you get it done. And I look at this Arsenal team, and I take this Leeds team as kind of a metric, because every other team, big team in this league, has struggled against Leeds, except for Arsenal. That in itself means something. I know football's not just a one-to-one, and it's not just, because this team beat this team and this team. No. But I do think Leeds are one of those litmus test teams in the Premier League. How you play against Leeds kind of shows the quality of your team, or the caliber of your team, or where your team probably should finish throughout the season. It's not always 100%, but generally how they've played against the big 6 teams and how the big 6 teams have responded to Leeds' style of play has kind of shown me enough to say the better you perform against Leeds, generally the better of a team you are. I know the only outlier on that is because Spurs beat Leeds and they're terrible, right? This Arsenal team, they find a way to get the win. The first half was ugly. The second half was more football. The first half was set pieces, throw-ins, crosses, corners. It must have been like 10 of those in the first half. It was ugly. Second half opens up a little bit more. They start playing their football. Martinelli gets the assist to Gyökeres, great finish. Then Jesus gets his great goal at the end of the game. So they can kind of mix it up a little bit, right? It's not consistent enough. It's not pretty enough on a consistent basis, but it is effective enough, right, to get them over the line. And I think when I see games like this, it reminds me that, okay, no matter how harsh we're being on Arsenal, no matter how much we're being critical on them, they can still do this. They can still put 4, 5, 6 against teams when the situation is presented to them, when the opportunity is presented to them. And I think that you look at the 2-1s, the 1-0s, it might be ugly to watch, but a win is a win. And I keep saying it, no matter what football club you support, you would take these results if it meant winning the league. So it's a credit to Arsenal, this performance. Leeds, I haven't seen Leeds look this fragile since Arsenal beat them 5-0 at the start of the season. They haven't looked this just confused and incapable of playing football at all. Leeds did not play football at all today. They did not play any kind of football in this game. It was a poor performance. It was a terrible performance. And I think Arsenal can do that to teams. They can make teams look a lot more average than they actually might be, a lot worse than they actually might be. So that's a credit to Arsenal in this performance. And let's see, kind of how these next 5 games kind of pan out, right? As we approach match week 30, which I think is always a big kind of point in the season. Let's see how these next 5, I'm not sure what their fixtures are, but let's see how they pan out in these next 5 games, and then see how Arsenal, kind of look in the title race with Man City and Aston Villa, kind of pushing them all the way. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Arsenal fans, other fans of Big 6 clubs, just Premier League fans, what are your thoughts on this Arsenal performance? I know it's different in the first half to the second half. A lot more set piece based in the first half and a lot more open kind of in the second half. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Peace out.